Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Shaun Attwood channel. I'm Ron Swanson. We're live with John Masters, currently serving U.S. police officer, and we're going to get into his story about corruption and all the kinds of shenanigans that we all know take place in law enforcement around the world. You only have to look at what the state of my country right now and the multiple tiers to the way that our officers seem to hand out sentencing, hand out punishments, and pick and choose the crimes they want to invest in. And by God damn it, isn't it always the children that are let down? And I'm looking forward to hearing John's story. And first of all, John, thank you so much for coming and joining us and being here tonight, mate. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, thanks for having me on, man.
No problem. Now, John has got some links that are in the description, which I'm going to put up on screen as well just now. And it's sort of the center of your story, the Blue Line Rogue, right?
Yeah, pretty much. This happened in the state I work in.
Well, look, before we get to that, John, let's dial it back. Let's get to know each other. You know what I'm saying? Let's go out for a drink. Let's do some dancing. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, and just sort of introduce yourself to the community, if you will.
Sure. So, I'm not your typical cop. Culturally, or I guess subculturally, however you want to describe that. I'm not even from the lower 48. My family's from Alaska.
Wow.
My dad is a dual citizen, Canada and the United States. My grandfather was born in Saskatchewan.
Oh, damn.
My grandmother was born in England. So like I have, it's not, oh yeah, everyone in the States says, oh yeah, I'm from. No, like I actually have living family. Like I can talk to these people. My dad didn't learn to speak English until he was 11. It was one of those things.
Wow.
French was his primary language until he was 11. So j'ai parlé français.
Yeah, nice.
It's one of those things where I've had a foot in both worlds because of my grandfather and my grandmother's family. So I don't really blend in to the lower 48 culture the way most people would expect down here. There's there's always the joke I hear in Alaska, where I lived and where my parents lived. There's 340 million Americans and less than a million of them live up in the last frontier. Do the math.
Yeah.
We're not normal to the rest of the country. I followed my parents around where they went. They were in the Air Force. It was a foregone conclusion I was going to join the military, so I did. I spent, I was in the military close to a decade. Most of that time was active duty. I got out, I went to school. In the period of transition for me when I was switching from the reserves, from active duty to the reserves, one of my friends was murdered, and that kind of changed my perspective on things, on pushing me more and more into going into law enforcement. Before I became a cop, I had no interest in law enforcement. I didn't like cops. I thought they were morons. Had no interest in doing this. I went to school for computer systems information, computer science engineering. I was a database programmer. I worked on PHP and SQL systems. That's what I wanted to go do.
Yeah.
I was taking classes for Basel and financial regulation. I wasn't planning on going into law enforcement. It's funny, when I actually became a cop, the majority of my family was in pure shock, disbelief. They're going, we would have never thought that. I'm too much of a geek, too much of a nerd, too much of a beach bum, hippie surfer dude. I spent most of my childhood on the beaches in California or Alaska as a kid, either surfing, free diving, or scuba diving.
Listen, there's got to be a contrast between the beaches of California and the beaches of Alaska. And
Oh,
you don't know
no,
what I'm saying.
there's beaches. Just
I know.
the water's a wee bit cold.
I was just going to say, like, I imagine there's beaches, bro, but I imagine that the thermal dynamics of surfing in it are a very different challenge.
You just, if you want to get, like, I've been free diving in Alaska waters. You just wear a dry suit. It's no big deal.
Yeah. Listen, I don't care what you say. It's Alaska. The water there is it gets extra danger points just because it's Alaskan. Okay. Like I'm just saying, I went through a period, John, of being obsessed with mountain men. Okay. And I was one of these dumbasses from another country who was like, oh, I could do that. I could live, I could go out into I could walk from civilization up into the snow and in one season before the snow comes, build me a log cabin and not die. I'm one of those dumbasses, right? But there's a lot of people that romanticize with that, John. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right,
Uh,
until they actually see it, you
yeah,
know, and
there's a reason.
I will be honest with you, I have been out there. Um, I
Yeah,
have
man.
been out there for periods just to kinda
Yeah.
disconnect myself. I did this, where my mother's from, in the Midwest and in Arizona. I would just go out into
It
the
doesn't count,
Utah
man.
wilderness and just hang
Doesn't
out
count.
there and
Doesn't when you compare it to your Alaskan experiences, doesn't count, mate. Okay, comparing Alaska to anywhere else is like everywhere else becomes a child's ball pit at a playground compared to anything in Alaska, bro. There's a reason that Alaska is so big and there's 9 people that live in the wilderness of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Everyone else is huddled together in those little towns. Anyway, Ron has
Right.
proven to you how powerful my ADHD is at side questing us, right? But if we've got time at the end, I'm going to nerd out over Alaska with you, bro. I'm telling you right now. Um, so your journey into the police force is an interesting one. You obviously had the sad loss of your friend. Was it mishandling of the case? Was it the way that it happened, or was it just a case of I don't want to see this happening to anyone else, or is it this was handled so badly I want to make change? What was your angle on it?
No, the case was handled incredibly well.
Okay.
So he was murdered, in Georgia on base. The Army CID did their job incredibly well. They were very swift, very fast. Very simple what happened. His brother-in-law and his spouse beat him with a bat, beat him down to death. Um,
Oh my
I
God,
was
that's
not in the state when
horrific.
this happened, but from what I have been told and what I understand, um, when he was put on the ambulance, he was not dead at that point.
And
That even though I was on the other side of the country, I was working in Arizona at the time. I was a dive tender. I was working on I spent half my time on a boat and the other half on a professional team. I was a dive tender.
wow,
And when I found out, I was just sitting there going, "Wha- what?" It made me want to put some skin in the game. Of no one should have to endure that. I mean, his family was from a different part of Alaska than where my family lived. But for me, it was personal.
yeah,
One
I would
one
say
of
so.
one of someone from my home state, someone from my place on active duty, didn't get to make it home. Like that to me was like, we joined the military to get opportunities we would not have gotten elsewhere. We're looking for some social mobility. We're not doing this to risk dying, you know, in middle Georgia, of all places. So it bugged me that he's bouncing between Hunter Army Airfield, Fort Stewart, Fort Gordon, and he gets killed at Fort Stewart, Georgia. And I'm just going, you know, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go be a cop where he was killed. And that's why I picked Georgia, the state of Georgia, to be a cop. Everyone's like, why didn't you be a cop in Alaska? It was never even a thought. That's no. I was gonna come. Um, I was gonna come to Georgia because that was where.
Because there's at
Uh,
least another 4 or 5 other cops, John. That's why. Okay,
yeah,
I'm just saying, right? I imagine there's a lot of like lone wolf police officers doing some pretty extreme investigations to what goes on in Alaska, right?
yeah.
Uh,
It's definitely not like the TV shows. All the TV shows have got it completely wrong. Especially TV shows about police in Alaska. They've
okay.
got it completely wrong. It is that people think that's how it's done. No. Um, But for me, I felt an emotional tie to Alaska because he's buried here. We couldn't even get him home. Couldn't even get the body home. So for me, it was like, my friend is here. I'm here. So I packed up my entire family and moved down.
Wow. You're an incredibly interesting individual. The jobs you've done, the reasons that you up and root your life, you're very, I feel like you've got a set of principles, and that's what you follow, and that's awesome. I mean, it really, really is. And I just want to say, it sounds horrific what your friend went through. And I hope the individuals that done it are having a very, very cold time in a Alaskan concrete box.
So they're in federal prison. This
Oh
this
yeah, they're
happened
not.
at Fort
Just,
Stewart, Georgia.
yeah,
This
your
whole
partner.
thing was handled by Fed, and yeah, they're in federal prison. Both of them.
Brutal. I mean, it just doesn't bear thinking about. So, okay, take us into day one. You're there. You've passed whatever exams and done your training, whatever you need to do. You got your new uniform on. You're like, yes, kind of freaking, I am the law, right? What was it that started to change in you? You had this vision of why you were going into the police force. When did things start to divert from your original path in this into a world of, I can't keep my mouth shut about this anymore? How long did it take?
About 2 years, where the blue wall bubble was popped for me, and I was done. A large part of that is due to my FTO. I had an incredible FTO. Um, One of the things he emphasized to me, pushed on me at a very early during my field training program, um, is that you do this job correctly, no matter what. No matter what the supervisor says, no matter what the chief says, no matter, this is your certification. You went through all this training, you went through all this classwork, you did the PT, you showed up early, you stayed late, you did all of this. This is your certification, not some other cop certification. So if they tell you to do something that you know is wrong, don't do it. Suffer the consequences, but don't do it. In the end, you will be proven to be right. It could take weeks, it could take hours, it could take minutes, it could take years. But you do not compromise your integrity for any other cop. And that started with him day one when we got in the car. Those were near his exact words to me. You do not compromise your integrity for any other cop. And then one of the things he told me was this whole back the blue thing. He says, if you want to be that kind of cop, you can just go find another FTO right now, because I don't do that. I rode with him for months. And that guy taught me to do the job correctly, that there is a massive gray area in this job. This black and white nonsense is, no, that is not how we function in a civilized society.
There has to be accountability. And I think that is one of the issues as social media, as the internet's become more prevalent. The reporting of injustices and corruption and two-tiered systems seems to have spread a lot faster. And our knowledge of these things, I mean, you would have thought by now that as a society we would have done away with having these officers stare us in the face. And the amount of times where officers have clearly breached what they should be doing and they escape justice and all of this madness, it's mirrored over here as well, John. And I think if more police done away with the boys club mentality, where they're looking after each other and cleaning up each other's messes, things
Right.
would run a lot smoother. And this officer that you worked for, he obviously indoctrinated this mindset in you. Did he ever tell you what it was that? Did he have an experience where his mind changed and he was like that? Did he witness something that really was his catalyst?
I assume so, but he would never tell me. I started to figure out His personality was very much like mine. We were very laid back individuals. We wanted to do the job. We were looking for actual bad guy. Okay, not people late to work. We weren't looking for people late to work. We were looking for legitimate bad guy. I wanted drugs, guns, people with warrants, people engaged in felonies, impaired drivers. I wanted honest to goodness actual bad guy,
Yeah.
not some dude who's late for work who's doing, 15 over the speed limit. It boggled my mind when I saw police officers that would come back with a stack of tickets like that, in one day and go, yeah, man, I fight the evil you don't know exists. I'm like, shut up. What?
Is that
Speeders? That's all
is
you got? Oh no, only 4 of those are speeding. The rest of those are broken taillights. Come on. What's wrong with you? Or window tint. I couldn't believe that. It blew my mind. But for 2 years I did it. I did it. There was a quota. I went out there. I measured window tint. Window tint was illegal. Here's your ticket. I'm like, this is so stupid. There are honest to goodness bad guys out there, and they want us chasing nonsense. And I finally went to a different agency where I thought it would be better, and I found out it was actually way worse at that agency. It was actually way worse. The focus at that agency was so corrupted that the chief was able to hide it from the officers. We didn't know. Other agencies didn't know. The state didn't know. No one knew until we just accidentally stumbled across it and went, okay. How much did he steal from the evidence locker this time? And we figured out, okay, about 80 grand,
wow?
about half a brick of cocaine, and how many guns. And we're going, we need out of this. We need out of this so bad. And then we got death threats over it, and it spiraled out of control. And that's when I realized, okay, what kind of a cop did I want to be?
Mhm.
Um, there's a point where me and my professional bearing, that's a cop out. When I hear people say that, you need to be professional and keep your mouth shut and be professional, that's a cop out. I'm a professional because I said something. And when someone turned around and said, you saying something is wrong, okay, fine. I'll tell you what, after 3 years of enduring this police chief's mouth, I finally wrote this book and I said, I'm done. I am done. I have heard this nonsense perpetuated among law enforcement that the police officer must know everything and not tell. He must know where all of the sin is and not partake. Okay. The second part of that is true. The first part, we must know everything and not tell. I'm sorry. That's wrong. That's wrong. How does the public know what's going on? I understand in the moment. Absolutely. No. No, 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 no. We got something going on. It's active. We're not going to tell the public. Why? It's for their safety. We'll figure this out later. But once it's cleaned up, let the public know, hey, we just got a murderer off the street. This is what we're doing. That's why there were lights, SWAT teams, guys with rifles. Please don't people panic. Or if we've got an ongoing investigation, absolutely don't talk. Why? We want to get that guy off the street. We don't want him to know we're coming. But once it's over, tell the public. This whole thing about secrecy, perpetual blue wall, gotta keep everything in the group. It's about being professional. Now, to help cover for other cops, to protect the profession. I don't want to be part of that profession then, if that's the case. And I'm still actively employed in law enforcement.
Yeah.
I go on patrol next week. I'm just I'm on a break right now. I'm on a work break. That's it. I was patrolling last week. I made a DUI arrest just last week. The guy was driving high, and I mean baked. And I'm not going to protect him. I have arrested police officers for DUI. I don't care. I flat out do not care. I don't care who you are, what you're doing. I don't no. I don't care who you are. He was a police officer. He was headed to training. I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, my career is going to be over. I said, I don't care. I told him, this happened 2 years ago. I arrested a cop for DUI. I don't care. I flat out don't care. The same rules that apply to everyone else have to apply to us.
It's
So
true.
when
It
this
is.
situation happened, I already knew what my decision was going to be. It just took time for me to get to the point where I finally publicly said something. And I waited a good 3 years for the state to come out and say something, and they just never did it.
When you start seeing this in-house corruption, these in-house officers and higher ups, did you have the mindset of like, once this escalates, everything will be taken care of, right? It's a smaller issue. It's a department thing. Did you start seeing higher up levels within the legal system defending and sweeping things under the carpet? Did you find that corruption spread further than just local departments?
Yeah, that's exactly what happened. And it happened almost immediately. And that kind of broke my heart. And I haven't lost respect for the profession. I have lost respect for our system to such a point that I no longer. I'm cautious when even prosecutors tell me something. I am when a prosecutor says I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, and I'm going, yeah, right. I'll believe it when I see it. Because prosecutors helped this guy, helped this police chief. They covered for him after he stole the cocaine.
It's a sizable amount as well, you know?
Yeah, about a little over half a brick. It was 340 grams. It was a lot. And that's the one we know about.
Right. Yeah. Somebody just raised a good point in the side chat, Jade. There was a video of a cop who OD'd on the fence in a toilet.
I've seen that.
It's I'll look it up whilst we're talking about it, but it's an incredible.
Oh, it's a horrible video. Oh, it's horrible to see it. And his partner had to rush in there and Narcan him.
Yeah.
And I'm going, this guy had a problem, and because he's got a badge and a uniform, the normal indications that would have been picked up by other officers were completely ignored.
Yeah. I mean, there seems to be a lot. Like, there seems to be a lot of, like, I just typed in cop ODs on Fent and I just expected the one video to come up, but it's a few, man.
And not because they were exposed to it, because they were legitimately addicts.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine there's tests before you go in, blood tests or urine tests or something to make sure you're clean in some way before you join the police force. Do you find that there is this slippery slope of substance abuse for coping with what they've seen,
Yes.
what they're doing, or even coping with dealing with what you had to deal with, the corruption?
We see far more than the public sees. There was a fatal wreck just last week. A guy ran from a sheriff deputies. Now, I'm going to make this very clear. I don't like car chases. That's just me. I can't speak for other cops. I just don't like car chases. I think they're dangerous. I think they're dangerous to the public. I think they're dangerous to bad guy. I think they're dangerous to me. Okay.
Yeah.
But I just don't like car chases. But hey, in the state I'm in, you run from the police, we can legally chase you. I will tell you, and I'm not trying to give an insider secret of, oh, that guy's. I'm more than likely, unless I think you're impaired, I'm just going to turn the lights off. It's not worth it. This is just me. This is just me. Okay. Please don't think the Georgia State Patrol is going to turn their lights off, because they're not. They're going to put you in a ditch.
I get what you're saying,
but
I mean, I love watching.
More apt than not, I have turned the lights off.
I mean, I love watching me a good America. It has to be America, man. America outrageous car chase. Like,
they're insane.
And here's the thing. I'm in my mid-40s and I'm terrified of driving, John. They're basically big bullets that are human goals inside, right?
It's when you look at a car, just a normal average run-of-the-mill police car, Ford Explorer. It's a 2,000-pound missile.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, if the roads were empty like a field, no problem. I'd be a confident driver. Do you know what I'm saying? It's everybody else John. It's everyone else. And for me, I would totally be on the side of,
I turn them off.
do you know what I'm saying?
I can't tell you how many times somebody has run for me and I just turn the lights off and let it go. I don't worry about it. I have no ego here. I on the way to work, I swallow my ego. Okay, that's it. I don't bring my ego to work, and I don't bring work back to the house. Okay, I got too much stuff to live for. I got GTA 6 is coming out soon. I got to survive for that, so we don't need to cause any undue stress to my, I don't need to, don't need to have a heart attack before GTA 6 comes out. So we gotta
100%,
make
bro.
sure, yeah, we don't bring work back to the house. Supposedly there's going to be a new Zelda coming out, so we'll hold on now. Got to
Right.
survive to that.
We'll see which country screws it up for us, bro. You know what I mean? So just so everyone knows, this is the video of the footage of this officer. This is Narcan that's being distributed.
He went into the bathroom of their department to smoke evidence that had been seized.
Right. Like, it just seems like quite a serious thing to go and have a little dabble in. No one just decides one day in the afternoon at work to go and have their first fentanyl in the toilets.
He was addicted.
Yeah.
He had been addicted to, from what I understand, methamphetamine for a long time.
See, that seems to be, there's a contrast to obviously cultures, substance cultures, and the UK doesn't have a prevalent meth, not the crystal meth side of things. It's here, right? But it's not fully got its dirty claws in yet, if that makes sense.
Right, and it depends where in the United States.
Right.
Where I'm at, the three biggest ones, at least for impairment, for the impaired drivers that I see, the three biggest ones are meth, heroin, and cannabis. You would have thought alcohol would have been on that. Alcohol's not on that list. My three biggest that I see are meth, heroin, and cannabis. And I'm from a state where cannabis has been legal since 1959. I mean, it's not legal here. Okay. Okay. That argument aside, you can't drive with it in your system. You can't drive impaired.
Yeah, of course.
So
alcohol,
you can't alcohol,
drive in your system, you know what I'm saying?
Alcoholic beverages are legal. It's this is a difficult argument for me to have because I have a difference of opinion from most cops when it comes to cannabis.
Okay.
The amount of crashes I have seen that are cannabis related just baffle me.
Oh, really? Wow.
It is, and the driver who caused the wreck is so relaxed because he's so baked out of his mind. He'll hurt other people and he'll get out. He'll walk. I've seen him walking around the scene going, "What happened, man?" It's like, seriously, you're that baked? Like you couldn't just stay at home and eat a bag of crisps or something? Like, really?
Yeah. I have to say, I think you're the first person that I've ever heard use the word crisps from America.
So yeah.
I appreciate it.
I meant chips,
called.
But
no, you did not. You
crisps.
meant crisps. Okay, you meant crisps because that's their name. Okay,
that's what they are. Yeah, chips are potatoes that you put gravy on.
Sure. Okay, if you're in Yorkshire, no problem.
Well, in Canada, we put gravy on our chips.
Oh, that's right. Is it poutines?
Poutine. Yeah,
poutine.
with cheese curds and.
Yeah, man. It's too much. It's too wet for me.
No,
it's too wet for. I've not tried it. I will try it.
You should try it. But see, when you do the poutine, very important. Yeah. You want your chips fresh. You want them warm and fresh, so that and your gravy needs to be hot, so that when you put your cheese curds on it, you put your squeaky cheese on it, and you pour the gravy on it, everything starts to melt, but not quite, and then it's like a crisp and all that.
No, that is a sensory overload for me, man. I'd be like a
really good.
I'd be like a toddler staring at food he's never seen before.
Oh no, it's really good. Wait till you have donair. Wait till you have donair poutine.
Nah, I'm okay. Well, listen. I tell you what, I'll have the dry poutine. All right, give me the condiments separately. But I'll build your own poutine with a Dunkin'.
There are people who do that. I
Yes,
have
'cause
got family that separates the gravy
yes,
from the chips and
yes.
the curds. Yeah.
I guarantee you they have sensory issues. Right. So let's circle back. Okay, we've seen the corruption, we've seen the localized corruption, whether it's addicts having to self-medicate, whether it's people that just want to steal a brick for a boy's freaking trip to Vegas, whatever, who knows.
I don't know.
The money, the
We have theories. We can't prove any of it, but our theories are based on some preponderance of evidence. We're fairly certain it was being